Advocate Zandile Mshololo for accused number 5 in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial says the National Prosecuting Authority cannot charge people however it wants. She wants the prosecuting authority to provide reasons why it decided to charge the 5 accused and not those implicated in the second document, that is, Kelly Khumalo and the other occupants in the house. She says she will not be able to continue with cross-examination of Sergeant Thabo Mosia after the state only disclosed the existence of a second docket concerning the case this morning. In the second docket, opened in 2019, the Director of Public Prosecutions in Gauteng recommends that Longwe Twala, Kelly Khumalo, Gladness Khumalo, Zandile Khumalo, Mtokozizi Twala and Maggie Piri be charged for murder and defeating the ends of justice. In the docket, Mosia has also deposed a statement concerning the crime. 5 men are on trial in the High Court in Pretoria for the murder of the goalkeeper who was shot and killed during an alleged robbery at the home of his girlfriend, Kelly Khumalo's mother's home. In 2014, Mshololo says she needs clarity on the second docket before she can cross-examine Mosia. Well, for more on this, let's cross now to my colleague, Griselda Lewis. A very good afternoon, Griselda. That introduction gives an overview of what's transpired, but why has the case now been postponed until Monday?
Well, Nompo, as you correctly point out, Advocate Zandile Mshololo for accused number 5 basically wants an explanation from the prosecutorial authority on why it decided to charge the 5 men who are currently in the dock for the murder of Senzo Meyiwa and not the occupants that were in the house, including Kelly Khumalo, Longwe Twala, her sister Zandile Khumalo, as well as the mother Gladness Khumalo. You would recall that this is not the first time that the second docket has been mentioned, this docket 375. In the docket 375, it basically points to those who should be charged, including Kelly Khumalo and the other names that I have just mentioned. So what Advocate Zandile Mshololo is saying is she wants to understand why there was a decision taken, despite what you have indicated there. The division in the South Gauteng of the Director of Public Prosecutions had basically said, according to docket 375, that Kelly Khumalo and the others that I've just mentioned were the ones who were supposed to be in this court to answer for killing Senzo Meyiwa. But instead, according to the other document, the 5 men who are in the dock currently are the ones being charged with the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. What she essentially wants is an explanation about how that decision was taken by the prosecutorial authority. The NPA not responding at this particular point. I recall SABC News and other media had asked for an explanation some days ago. We haven't gotten that. And I understand that that explanation, perhaps if not given to the media, is now being required by Advocate Zandile Mshololo. How this all began inside court this morning, Nompo, was that when she mentioned that she was not going to be able to continue with her cross-examination because she understands that there's this docket 375, which she says she only received from the state this morning. And basically, she cannot continue with the cross-examination because in that docket, Thabo Mosia, who is the state witness who is still under cross-examination, had basically also deposed of a statement there. So she cannot continue with the cross-examination in this regard until she says she has enough time to go through that docket, in which that docket, Kelly Khumalo, her sister, her mother, and I beg your pardon, and others as well, are believed to be the ones to be pointed towards being charged for the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. So another twist and turn in this particular matter. The state also rising there to say they only received the docket this morning, despite writing to the investigators on the 23rd of March, asking for the docket to be made available. They've also expressed reservations about why the docket itself had been given to the defense advocate Malisa Latifo, who represents accused number 1 to 4. He has previously, you would recall, Nompu, raised the issue of this docket inside this court. This is certainly going to be a stickler in this particular matter. It's going to be very interesting to see how the prosecutorial authority responds to Advocate Zandile Mshololo, because they've certainly not been forthcoming about an explanation to the media. Of course, they would argue that the matter is still before the courts at this particular time. They cannot comment on it. So Zandile Mshololo has now asked for that explanation from the prosecutorial authority about why they decided to go with one docket and simply ignore the other. So whether this matter will resume on Monday, I know that I know that the state witness, Thabo Mosia, will not be in court. I guess all of this now, in terms of how we resume on Monday, will be dependent on whether Advocate Zandile Mshololo was able to get an explanation from the National Prosecuting Authority in time and before we resume on Monday about why they made the decision to charge the 5 men that are currently in the dock and not those that were cited in a second docket, which would include Kelly Khumalo, her sister, her mother, and others.
Presumably, the MPA can't afford to rest on its laurels with this issue because ultimately, like you say, it's going to determine what will happen on Monday. Surely this is a matter of urgency so that we understand why these other people are not behind bars like those 5 gentlemen who are currently in custody and exactly the way forward.
Remember, Nompo, let me take you back to the cross-examination of Thabo Mosia. When he was asked how many years' experience he has in the South African Police Service, he indicated it was 14 years. And he was asked by the defense in this court, does he find it strange that you have one particular murder case which has 2 dockets? He also said he found it strange. And I think it was at that point when it was realized that this issue of the second docket would consistently come up in this particular case. It has led now to the adjournment of this particular matter because Advocate Zandile Mshololo says she wants an explanation. Why would the prosecutorial authority decide to go with one docket and not the other? Why is the other docket simply being ignored on the basis that it implicates those that have been in the house? So many questions raised a bit earlier on as well in this particular matter. You would know that since day one, the defense has been maintaining that the entire crime scene had been cooked, it had been contaminated, and that the very state witness that was on the stand didn't do simple forensic work, like ask, for example, the accused in the house. So we heard today that through statements of Gladness Khumalo, who is the mother of Kelly Khumalo, as well as Zandile Khumalo, who is the sister, both of them deposed statements, and in those statements they speak about this robbery that had taken place of a cell phone. And when Mosia was asked about whether he had asked the occupants in the house about the robbery, he said he didn't do that, despite the fact that when this incident was reported to him on the very first telephone call by Brigadier Philani Ndlovu, he told him that he should respond to a robbery and a murder. So he would have known when he got to the scene that a robbery and a murder was suspected to have taken place, but he simply didn't ask any of the occupants inside the house about what had been stolen. This is now contained in these witness statements by Gladness Khumalo as well as Zandile Khumalo. So a lot of focus now is going to be on the prosecutorial authority in terms of why it chose one docket over the other.
Griselda, thank you very much for that update. Griselda Lewis reporting on the Senzo Meyiwa case.